So we go to a Fox News alert. Israel says it has eliminated 4 senior intel officials, including the IRGC's head of intelligence. This is the Quds Force headquarters, we believe.
It comes as Iranian missile strikes kill at least 8 and injured hundreds more as rocket fire rained down on central and northern Israel overnight.
Trey Yinks is live in Israel with the latest. Good morning, Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Overnight missiles rained down across Israel, killing at least 8 people, some of them slipping past missile defense systems at 5 different locations, destroying both apartment buildings and residential blocks. We got to one scene in the heart of Tel Aviv, just blocks away from the U.S. Embassy branch here that was also damaged in that strike. And when we got there, first responders were rushing into the flames, trying to look for survivors in the rubble. We spoke with one man named Gal. Here's what he had to say.
When the missiles arrived, we were in the staircase in the building. And the shock was like so huge. I never saw even a piece of a rocket. And to see an explosion right in front of my face and my brother's face, crazy.
A ballistic missile had...
It's like, I do wonder, will there ever be a moment where like someone who has experienced these bombs and like these kinds of like rocket attacks will turn around and be like, this is what we've been doing in Gaza? Like, this is pretty fucked up. I mean, I'm not even saying that as a joke. Like, I wonder if there's anyone that fucking... I wonder if anyone actually sees that and goes like, yeah, this is what we've been doing is like pretty messed up. I never really thought about it like this, but I doubt it, but maybe, probably not.
Has just slammed into a building in the center of Tel Aviv. Right now, first responders are trying to put out the flames in the distance. You can see right now, there are a variety of paramedics on the scene, police officers and soldiers. And if you come over here, you'll see part of a collapsed building. They don't know if anyone is currently inside, but they are checking right now. The Iranians continue to launch waves and waves of ballistic missiles into this country. Overnight, we understand there were 65 missiles, and they were targeting a variety of locations. We could hear the explosions in Tel Aviv as some were intercepted overhead by Israel's advanced missile defense systems. The Israelis are striking back, taking out top intelligence officials from the Iranian regime, including the country's chief intelligence officer and his deputy. They also took out what they say are 1/3 of the ballistic missile launching positions. Despite the fact the Israelis say they now have air superiority over the Iranian capital of Tehran, this is expected to continue for a number of days, if not weeks, as Israeli forces are trying to weaken the Iranian regime and target the country's nuclear facilities. Guys, back to you.
Hey, Trey, would you say the number of ballistic missiles, rockets, and drones are leveling off from night after night after night? Because that's what Israel is banking on, that they're going to locate the launchers, they're going to run out of rockets, they can't replenish, and they have no air defense. So is that happening?
Look, the Iranians appear to be preserving what missiles they have left. We spoke with a senior Israeli intelligence official over the weekend who indicated the assessment is that Iran has around 2,000 ballistic missiles. And the Israelis have been able to take out some of the stockpile. They've been able to target, like I said, 1/3 of the launching positions. But this still gives Iran the capability to fire hundreds of ballistic missiles into this country. And that is why Israel is still in a state of emergency. The airport is closed, and they are bracing for challenging days ahead. Officials speaking with Fox News say there will be more casualties, there will be more destruction. And you see in the aftermath videos here, these are not like the rockets that came from Gaza or from southern Lebanon. These are missiles that can take out entire blocks in major cities like Tel Aviv. And from what we saw last night, and I was being very careful as we arrived on the scene less than an hour after the explosion of describing where it was. But now we can report because U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, came out publicly and said there was minor damage to the U.S. Embassy branch here in Tel Aviv. This is a...
Yeah, this, by the way, this was the reason why they couldn't report on it because there was some minor damage to the American embassy, which is like technically U.S. soil. So that is the reason. I thought it would be because like I don't know, like a high profile person could have been potentially assassinated or something. Like that wasn't the reason. Could it be a false flag strikes to the U.S. embassy? No, I don't think. chatters, no. No, I'm fairly certain that it was they're saying it was limited. Like they're saying that it was it probably was from the shockwaves or something.
Residential area. It is packed with civilians, cafes and restaurants. And when we got there, for blocks, you could see storefronts that were completely ripped apart, glass shards all over the street from windows that were blown out. And so to answer your question, the Iranians are preserving what supply they have left. They certainly are in a position where eventually they will run out of ballistic missiles, but Israel is certainly not out of the woods yet, and we can expect more Israeli strikes throughout the day as they try to mitigate that risk of ballistic missile fire.
Like, look, there are some people who want vengeance, okay? There are a lot of people cheering on what's going on because of their appetite for finally seeing like a little bit of repercussion, like Israeli society broadly experiencing a little bit of the pain that they have caused to the Palestinians, to the Lebanese people, to people in fucking Syria, all around, right? My assessment on this as a public figure, who abides by terms of service and also is constantly fucking hunted by people who want to deplatform me, is that I see this as like, I see the retaliation as maybe a crumb of hope that Israel will stand down. Like that is my only hope out of this, is that Israel stands down, or America recalculates the attitude that they have for full tilt death and destruction is too much instability. It's too much destabilization. They recognize that like Israeli society might collapse, and then they won't be able to come back in a couple of years and utilize Israel to the best of their ability, like they have been doing so far. And it causes America to recalculate, and it causes Israel to recalculate, and hopefully pull back a little bit, scale back, and I don't know, go back to the drawing board. And there is a period of stability. But the only way to do this, the only way to actually to make sure that this calculation happens from the American side, from the Israeli side, is if like Iran uses less restraint and actually matches the intensity of Israeli strikes. They haven't done so thus far. Obviously, there are limitations due to the Iranian arsenal, how much they have, and their strike capabilities, because they're using missiles as opposed to Israel that has the capacity to do more precise bombing campaigns as a consequence of consequence of being able to fly over the Iraq airspace, fly over Syria, refuel on the way there. Iran can't do that, so they can only use missiles. I think the only way that Iran could keep this up as a defensive posture would most likely be if they were getting aided by the Chinese state or by Russia, which I don't think Russia has enough bandwidth to even help Iran out in this process, or maybe even the appetite to help Iran out, considering that Russia has also a unique relationship with Israel as well. So I don't know. Self-proclaimed, this is Arsen Ostrovsky, my favorite international human rights lawyer, who is a fucking psychotic Hosberist. But self-proclaimed leading international human rights lawyer pronounces collective death sentence on Israeli media. That is a legitimate military target, given it's a key propaganda machine advancing Iranian military and nuclear goals. Breaking: Israeli airstrikes targeted Iran state broadcaster in Tehran. I don't understand how they're still operating with the same dynamic that they did with Gaza. They think Iran is a fucking nation state that has spent the last couple of decades building up their defenses and their offensive capabilities for this very moment, will not be able to retaliate in kind. Israel struck the oil depot in Tehran. What did Iran do in retaliation? They blew up the fucking Haifa oil refinery. If Israel attacks the Iranian National News Agency, then Iran will attack Israeli news agencies. I don't get it. it's a back and forth. Yes, it is significantly less. The damage to Israel that Iran can implement is obviously far less consequential, far less severe than what Israel can do to Tehran and Israel can do to Iran in general. But I don't understand how these guys are so callous in their indifference, even when there are clearly repercussions for regular Israeli society. They struck the nuclear scientists. Iran struck the academic institution in Israel. They blew up a fucking institute of research. They did that. So clearly they are getting their notes as far as their strike priorities and their targeting priorities from what Israel does to Iran. Every single bit of violence that you have seen so far, every single instance of like retaliatory strikes on Israeli soil has come after Israel has targeted something similar in Iran.
Toward major cities like Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and the northern city of Haifa.
So, Trey, I'm curious. These missiles that the Iranians are firing, do they have targets, or are they just shooting them out there? So the reason why I ask this is because, number one, they're hitting civilians, and number two,
I think Trey will be somewhat honest here, but I don't expect any honesty from Fox News in general.
Dude,
let's see.
when it comes to that embassy area that belongs to the United States, essentially, would they have known that's where that missile was going to hit?
Yes, they have precision-guided munitions, and they know broadly where they are firing these. And without getting into too many details about some of the targets that were hit, I can broadly tell you
He can't say unless the Israeli government openly admits that almost all of the targets are military installations, which, by the way, the Israeli government has admitted. 90% of the strike targets have been military installations, according to the Israeli government's own admission. But because of this is not even dishonesty at this point, for the record. No. You don't understand. This is Israeli censorship. Okay? This is Israeli censorship. He can't say they're striking military targets because the Israeli military does not want the rest of the world to know that the Iranian government has successfully struck military targets. They did this last time, not this last round. Operation, what is it, like Truth or whatever? What is the name of the fucking True Promise? During Operation True Promise 2, after last year, they struck the Negev Desert. Okay, Operation True Promise 2. That actually fucking hit Israeli bases. And the only reason why we know is because people were driving down the fucking side of the road and they were filming. The Israeli military immediately stamped out. Israeli military immediately stamped out that information. They made it. They don't want this kind of information to come out, but they did. They successfully struck air bases in the Negev Desert. That's the reason why Trey can't say exactly what the Iranian strike targets look like. That's why he's saying, well, what I can tell you is, like, look.
yes, they have precision-guided munitions, and they know broadly where they are firing these. And without getting into too many details about some of the targets that were hit, I can broadly tell you that the Iranians are going after military and civilian targets. Now, with that,
yeah, Israel has complete air dominance over Iran, and Iran is running out of TELs. I think that's hopium. You are missing a huge point in this conflict, my brother. The regime is utterly incompetent. They're fucking idiots. They have all been chosen by loyalty instead of skills. They can win the mind game so easily, telling Israel was using human shield. They even refused to show the civilian death toll on national TV. What are you talking about? Are you talking about Iran?
said, the Israeli
He's not wrong about one of the actual issues with the Iranian regime, though. Like, that is the nepotism and like loyalty transcending the competence narratives is not simply a narrative, but it's also the reality. It's a major flaw within the Islamic Republic, for sure. That's not even a joke. That's not a meme. I think that is a real problem. I think that Iran lucked out with someone like Hassan Nasrallah, who, and this is not my assessment, this is Benjamin Netanyahu's own personal admission, was infinitely smarter than anyone that the IRGC could have ever put up as a incredibly important faction of the resistance against Israel. Oh, I'm effing a little bit. Classic, mini F baby, mini F time. Calm down, everybody. It's okay. We're still here. Let's continue. It fixed itself.
Israelis are striking in a much more precise manner when they hit Iran. They go after military leadership. Certainly civilians have been killed in Iran, but the focus of Israeli strikes, it's IRGC targets and its nuclear program-linked targets, along with the country's ballistic missile program. When the Iranians fire these barrages of missiles, they're often hitting densely populated areas. And as we saw earlier in the day yesterday, at a different location that had been hit, the entire half of an apartment building collapsed after one of these missiles struck an area and killed 2 children, along with 2 adults, and many other people were injured. And just to give you a sense of the scene, because we often talk about the missiles and we talk about the ability to intercept them and how many are being fired by Iran, but the people that are paying the price, it's Israeli civilians. And when we arrived at that scene earlier,
Like, this is the propaganda side of this is when he says, oh, sure, Israel has struck civilians too, but they're very precise targeted campaigns against the military. That's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. Israel has been literally massacring civilians, so much so that it actually goes against their overall ambitions of regime change. Because if the ultimate goal here is to create instability and chaos in Iran and take advantage of the factional and sectarian tensions that exist in Iranian society against the fucking Islamic Republic, then they shouldn't be killing so many civilians. But because they've been fucking killing civilians, it goes against their overarching ambition of creating instability in Iran. All they have done is galvanize different sects of Iranian society that normally despises the Iranian regime to actually come to terms with an atomic weapons program. Their bloodlust is getting in the way of them conducting a more sophisticated military campaign that could work to cause chaos and create instability inside of Iran. So they don't actually have a desire for regime change, at least not like that. It's just what you tell the press in the world. No, they're not even saying that their final ambition is to enact the regime change. Their ambition is to enact regime change. Certainly, that's the ultimate goal here. Their ultimate goal is to take advantage of the existing economic strangulation of Iran and the existing tensions that are ever present in Iranian society, to completely collapse the Iranian state, to turn it into a failed state, and then put forth an American puppet, an American Israel-backed puppet in charge. Because their goal here isn't just about Iran. Their goal is, and it's certainly not about the fucking nukes. Their goal here is their goal here is to destabilize Iran and then pack it up and bring it into the banner of either American and Israeli control, or at least leave it as a complete fail state that, like, it can't do anything. It can't be a valuable and reliable ally to Chinese interests, because the goal is to focus on China, like make it look like either Syria or make it look like Libya. Is it purely Islamophobia, international relations? No, of course not purely Islamophobia. Islamophobia is the seasoning that you add. Yeah, Ryan Grimm talking about potentially China arming Iran is something that I have been paying close attention to as well. Felix says, do you know how badly I wish China was even 8% likely to do this? Man, I miss the USSR and I wasn't even around for it. And I think this is wish casting. That's what I think this is. China did send 3 military planes into Tehran days ago. I mean, that's not an... Sect Saver, thank you for the 10 gifted. They already have, I believe, like what, a 25-year energy contract with Iran. They get a lot of oil and gas from Iran. I mean, it makes sense for them to want to protect their asset, right? Favorable oil deals for China, and protecting your asset, protecting a formative ally in your One Belt, One Road initiative, continuing to have a foothold in the Strait of Hormuz. That's a hugely important. That is a hugely important a piece of military power for, or not even military power, but like it's a stabilizing force for China in the region. Iran is profoundly important for China for many different reasons, which is precisely why a country that has ambitions of maintaining stability while also slowly but surely creating a sphere of influence and power like China that is often doing 15-year plans, right? I suspect that they would be very careful in this. They would be more hands-on with defending their incredibly invaluable asset in the region.
Earlier in the day yesterday, separately.
Please check Israel Samson option leak. Dude, I know, man. Stop. I know. It's not something that leaked, okay? It's something that we know has existed. It's not new. Yes, the Samson option is Israel uses their nukes if they feel like it's their final option. It's like the USSR dead hand, okay? Yes, if they are getting pummeled to a degree, they say they will use their fucking nukes. Yes, the leak includes targets. Oh, yeah. Israeli THAAD scores a touchdown on itself on the Nevatim airbase here. A missile interceptor reportedly in the area of the Nevatim airbase suffered a malfunction and crashed to the ground. This is too big for the Iron Dome. Probably one of the larger interceptors intended to destroy ballistic missiles. We watched this last night. But yeah, this was crazy. It'd be like that sometimes. Here, watch this. Watch this. I don't think this is a THAAD or a David Sling missile. Isn't this one of those like dual warheads? Am I crazy? Missile autists in the chat. Missile autists in the chat. Isn't this one of those that just like isn't this one of those that like opens up and it's like a dual warhead that is Iranian? Or does the Arrow do this as well? Because some of those some of the missiles that I thought Iranians had would once they get into strike distance, they open up and they'll go in like two different directions or something. But yeah, look, watch this. That's a big boom. That's two big booms. Costco guys would say that's 5 booms. No ICBs open up and shoot their multiple warheads when in space, not close up. Oh. If it's THAAD, there's a reminder the U.S. produces 60 THAAD interceptors a year, as far as I know. Iran sent 140 drones 15 minutes ago. Can I send tweet? Yeah, we saw. That doesn't fucking... I know there's a new wave. Drone attacks are... Maybe I'm wrong, but drone attacks are... They get intercepted pretty easily. People say it's a THAAD. The missile broke into at launch. Iranian state media said it was electronic warfare that made it friendly fire. That could simply be them, claiming that this isn't new. This is from yesterday. That could be just them taking ownership over it, even though they didn't, in order to cause maximum chaos. U.S. changed Nimitz South China Sea tour and is going to the Middle East now. Okay. This press statement from China condemning Israel's attack on Iran is worth understanding in its full context, as it uses unusually forceful language. China explicitly condemns Israel's violation of Iran's sovereignty. security and territorial integrity and firmly opposes the reckless attacks targeting Iranian officials and causing civilian casualties. China supports Iran in safeguarding its national sovereignty, defending its legitimate rights and interests, and ensuring the safety of its people, they say. Just like the U.S. sees arming Ukraine as a means to drain Russian resources, China sees the same opportunity to drain the U.S. by supporting Iran. Iran is a major trading partner with China. So is Israel, particularly when it comes to cheap oil sent to Chinese refineries. More important than its trade relationship with Israel, of course, even though Israel does give American tech to China sometimes. Oopsie. That is a hugely important for Chinese national security. That's right. Israel sometimes gives American technology that China is not supposed to have directly to China. Make no mistake. Pakistan recently fended off the attack from India using Chinese weapons, which in many cases outperform Western weapons. So in other words, Israel is stupid to get into a war of attrition with Iran, which is 10 times bigger and backed by a rising power. But whatever, nobody in Israel listens to me anyway. The China statement is in the reply. I don't think China is going to arm Iran. That would be uncharacteristic of China. And I think that it would go against China's incredible non-interventionist, like sometimes annoying non-interventionist policies.
From where you saw that insert where I spoke with the wounded man, we saw a son, and he was wearing a hospital gown because he had been taken from the rubble to a local hospital, and he demanded that the doctors and nurses release him, despite the fact that he was wounded, because his father was still buried under the debris. And we brought you that story yesterday, but unfortunately his father was killed. His body was pulled from the rubble later in the day after we left that area. And it speaks to the people who are affected here. They are civilians, they're family members. No Israeli soldiers have been killed in the Iranian response. A few have been lightly wounded, but largely we're talking about civilians. According to the Israelis, 24 of them have been killed since Friday night when the Israelis launched this campaign targeting the Iranian regime. And so as we move forward here, this is really important to talk about the distinction between the target list here.
Okay, yes. Israelis are human beings, and they're the only human beings in the region, and they get the human being coverage.